Chapter 34. Abbot Humble was halfway between sleep and wakefulness in the grey dawn when he realised that some beast was pounding on the wine cellar door. Rising in his bed slowly, the old hedgehog called out hoarsely, "Who in the name of seasons is banging like that?" The sounds had roused young Burlop. He hastened to the door, assuring the abbot, "I'll see who it is, father. Don't disturb yourself." Humble sat up in his little truckle bed, rubbing his eyes and yawning. He looked up and found himself confronted by Sister Armel. "What is it, sister? Has some beast been taken ill? Do you need my help at the infirmary?" Armel sat down on the side of the bed. "Nothing like that, father, but I must speak with you." Blinking dozily, Humble held up a paw to silence her. "Well, don't tell me you've had a dream. Martin the warrior spoke to you. Am I right?" Astonishment was evident on the sister's pretty face. But, how did you know?" The old hedgehog smiled indulgently at his young friend. "Because I've had one too. It all came back to me the moment I looked up and saw you standing there." Armel's big brown eyes went wide. "Martin sent me a message in verse. Listen to this." Before she could speak further, Humble was repeating the words line by line. "Behold two swords and a banner. Watch out for the walking stone. The brother is gone. 'Tis the warrior who must face the savage alone." Sister Armel grabbed the abbot's paw. "Those were Martin's very words. Oh, what does he mean, father?" Humble shook his head. "If I knew that, Armel, I'd be wiser than any beast who ever ruled Redwall as abbot." Brother Burlop arrived with 2 pottery beakers of freshly brewed mint and comfrey tea. "Just a little something I made on the forge fire for you. Be careful, sister, it's hot. You and your father sip that. I'll wake you up while you talk. Don't mind me, I'll just go about my chores." They thanked Burlop. Armel watched him strapping on his heavy coopering apron and trundling off with an empty cask. "He's such a kind and caring creature, isn't he, father?" Humble blew steam from his beaker and sipped gratefully. "The best. Young Burlop's been the son I never had. Now, what about our dream, sister?" They were interrupted by a thump against the door and muffled squeaks from the stairs outside. After another thump, the frowsy little head of Mimsy the mouse babe appeared around the door. Sister Armel, that naughty Mudge beast pulling me tail." Mudge the mole babe could be heard behind her. "Oh no, I been you telling tales about your tail just to get in trouble." The door creaked open to reveal both Dibbons, still in nightshirts, wrestling. "Oh, you're pulling my nose. Look at Mum, she's tormenting I Gertly." Mimsy let out a piteous wail. "I've just stamped on me paw." Armel smiled apologetically at the abbot. "Sorry, father, our talk will have to wait till later." She hurried to the stairs and separated the tiny pair. "Be still, both of you. What are you doing out of bed? It's nowhere near breakfast time yet. The morning bell hasn't even sounded and you're running around here in your nighties. I can't abide naughty Dibbons, nor can the father abbot." Tearfully, Mimsy pointed an accusing paw at Mudge. "He woke me up and hit me with a pillow." The mole babe stuck out his small fat stomach truculently. "No, I didn't, you girt mosey fibber. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Didn't." Armel raised her voice. "Silence, both of you. Mudge, what did I tell you only yesterday about fighting with your friends?" The mole babe growled out indignantly. "You only told I not to fight with Burgle, Mum. You didn't say about fighting Mimsy." Armel wagged a paw severely at him. "I meant all Dibbons, not just Burgle." Mudge stared at the sister pityingly, then threw up his paws. You should have said I'll be so supposed to know." The abbot appeared, fully dressed. A broad smile was growing over his face as he grabbed both Dibbons by their paws. "Sister Armel, what do you say we take these 2 rogues up to breakfast? I'm sure Friar Gleeson is up by now. We'll have to ask him nicely, because I don't think he serves early breakfast to naughty Dibbons. Come on." All 4 retreated upstairs, chattering animatedly. "Does abbot be naughty too, Sister Armel?" "Certainly not, Mimsy. You have to be good if you want to be abbot. Isn't that right, father?" "It certainly is, Sister Armel. I was a good little Dibbon." "I know you weren't there, wondering what says you were a little villain." "Oh, did he indeed? I'll have to have a word with Wandering Walt." "I'm going to be naughty when I'm the abbot. When you grow up, we'll probably make you happy villain." "Happy villain, I look so Gertly, Mum." Morning brought with it soft grey skies and a fine drizzle of warm rain, which many Redwallers predicted would last through mid-noon. There was plenty to do inside the abbey. Every beast busied themselves with a multitude of chores. Sister Armel sat in the infirmary with the abbot and Sister Screeve, trying to figure out the meaning of Martin's cryptic message. Outside, Brother Demple tended to his vegetable patch and orchard. A true son of the soil, Demple was never bothered by rain. The stolid mouse made a hood which went over his head and shoulders from an old sack. He worked on a lawn, weeding between the drills of his salad crop. The abbey gardener was totally unaware of any activity on top of the east wall. Rakkety Tam MacBurl had scaled a high elm close to the wall in the outside woodlands. He raced along a broad branch which quivered up and down as he bounced upon it. With a tremendous bound he flung himself out into space. No other beast but Tam could have accomplished such a daring feat. His paws latched onto a battlement. There he clung a moment before leaping up and over, landing silently on the walkway. Drawing the small skein dew from his hat, the squirrel warrior cautiously descended the east wall steps and quietly opened the wall gate. Leaving Skipper and the long patrol hares to follow him, Tam raced through the deserted drizzle-cloaked grounds, heading for the hooded figure he had espied. Hit from behind, Brother Demple went down like a sack of cabbages. The borderer spun him over swiftly. Clamping a paw across Demple's mouth, he whispered urgently, "Brother, I don't have time for idle chit-chat, understand?" Demple nodded, and Tam continued, "Has the abbey been attacked by vermin?" Eager for an answer, Tam released his paw from Demple's mouth. The gardener licked his lips nervously. "Aye, they actually got inside the grounds." The border squirrel's jaw tightened. "Where are they now? Inside?" Brother Demple sat up. "No, they were all slain. We buried them out on the flatlands." Skipper and the hares gathered around him. "I say, good show, what?" "Indeed, old lad. At least the chaps we left behind didn't spend all their time jolly well feasting and napping while we're dashing around the blinking woodlands." Brother Demple wiped drizzle from his eyes. "Well, yes. In fact, we Redwallers actually took out quite a few of the vermin. How did you lot get on?" Skipper helped Demple up. "Oh, we did our bit, mate. But let's get in out of this rain. We can swap yarns over a good meal. You're dealing with hungry beasts, see ya?" Every beast came rushing into Great Hall to meet the returning creatures. Friar Gleeson threw up his paws in alarm, squeaking at his helpers. "Stoke up the oven fires, load up the ovens. We need lots of fresh bread, extra salad, cheeses, pasties, mushrooms, and cauliflower soup, and crumble. Oh, no, large. Six large rhubarb and blackberry crumbles, with sweet arrowroot sauce. Scones, extra batches of hot scones, with plum and dams and preserve. Hurry 'em along, Merly. These famine-faced hares need feeding." Moll hitched up her pinafore. "Good seasons, got you from under my paws, you disn't. We got a lot of victualling to be done." Abbot Humble embraced Tam fondly. "Welcome back to Redwall, Abbey, my friend. Welcome." "Mr. MacBurl, thank goodness you're safe and well." Tam found himself gazing over the abbot's shoulder into the sister's gentle brown eyes. He winked at her roguishly. "I would have torn down the abbey walls to be back here with you, sister." She cast her eyes down, smiling. "Is that a compliment or a threat, Tam?" Releasing himself from Humble's grip, Tam bowed gallantly. "Beauty is to be complimented, not threatened. See, I keep my promise. I brought back the sword." She stayed his paw as he grasped Martin's blade. "Please, keep it by you, Tam. I'll explain later, but the abbot and I think you'll have need of it." The border warrior looked puzzled. "But why?" Skipper was whirling his niece Brookflow around the floor. They both collided with Tam and Armel, almost knocking them over. The otter maid hooted with laughter. "Never mind that now. Give the pretty sister a kiss. She's done nothing but mope since you went away." Armel glared reprovingly at her friend. "Really, Brookie?" The hares had begun ragging their comrades good-naturedly. The ones who had remained at Redwall were singing. "I can't believe me eyes. What a horrible surprise. You're as welcome as a famine at the door. Look what the wind blew in, all bedraggled, wet and thin, and look at the mess you're making on the floor. Come sit down by the fire, if eating's your desire. There's not a bit of scoff nowhere about. You miss breakfast, lunch and tea, and I'll tell you candidly, you'll have to call again when we are out." Sergeant Wanwell's voice cut across the banter. "Now then, you dreadful lot, fall in line and get down to Cavern Hall. Clean up and get out of those rags. Cartwheel, Folder and Flamity, issue them with their proper regimental tunics. On the double now." Owing to the efficiency of Redwall's kitchens, lunch was prepared and laid out before midday. Lance-Jack Wildery had brought Captain Fortington up to date on the losses they had sustained, whilst the sergeant broke the news about Brigadier Crumshaw to the returning hares. But no beast could give Tam any information about the whereabouts of his friend Doogy. Normally, Tam never worried too much about his Highland friend. He and Doogy had been separated many times in the past. However, he could not help feeling a growing anxiety about Doogy. This was confirmed as he sat down at a table with Armel. She recited Martin's words to him. "Behold 2 swords and a banner, watch out for the walking stone. The brother is gone, 'tis the warrior, who must face the savage alone." The borderer looked grim. "So, is that why you told me to hold on to Martin's sword?" He turned to Skipper. "Do you think that Gulo is still alive, Skip? Maybe the waterfall didn't kill him." The otter chieftain looked up from a bowl of shrimp and hot root soup, which Friar Gleeson had made especially for him. "Well, according to old Log Torgy, no beast could ride over those falls and log and live. A log of the Gorsim knows what he's talking about when it comes to rivers and streams, mate. But who can tell? That Gulo ain't no beast like we've ever seen." The homecoming meal was not the jolly event Abbot Humble had hoped it would be. There was an undercurrent of sadness over lost comrades. Even the long patrol hares seemed to lack their usual gaiety, though Hither-yon Jem noted they'd lost none of their ravenous appetites. "They ain't joking and singing much, but those buckles can certainly tackle rations away at Tam." The warrior chuckled. "Aye, I'm a wee bit peckish myself." Sister Armel passed him a hot leek and mushroom pasty. "No doubt you've been missing our cooking." Tam tackled the pasty appreciatively. "I'll wonder some of you Redwalls aren't as fat as barrels eating food as delicious as this. By the way, Armel, I don't see our Goshawk Turkin around. Is he still with you?" Armel topped up a tankard with October ale for Tam. "Don't mention that bird to me. He's become very sulky and bad-tempered because his wing hasn't healed yet. I think he also misses the Brigadier a lot. They were such close friends. I worry about Turkin. He's taken to living in the attics above the dormitories, and he won't talk to any beast. We never see him at meals. I think he eats very little. He never comes to the infirmary. I think Turkin is feeling forlorn." Wandering Walt dug his spoon into a crumble and served himself a hefty portion. "That ain't the breezy, missy. He bird was used to flying and hunting all his life. Ain't good to be out with a broke wing. Oh, no, marm." Desultory talk went back and forth over the lunch. Outside, the drizzling rain continued for longer than the Redwallers had predicted. After eating, some of the hares retired to the dormitories, while others went down to Cavern Hall to nap the dull noontide away. While Sister Armel tended to the Dibbons, Tam went outside. He roamed the wall-tops, peering into the misty veils of drizzle in the hope that he would spy the short, sturdy figure of Doogy Plumm returning to Redwall Abbey. But there was no sign of his Highland friend.